There's this book in the Bible called Judges, and it tells some pretty crazy stories. It always starts with Israel failing and God punishing them by sending some other country to come and oppress them. The heroes of the story, or the judges, are usually just as bad as the villains. So it's easy to think, what am I supposed to do with these stories? Why are they in the Bible? Well, hopefully we can help you out with that.
After the story of Deborah, there was 40 years of peace. They sang their songs and grew their crops until they sinned against God again. God allowed Israel to be oppressed by the Midianites. Anytime the Israelites planted anything, the Midianites would come and steal the Israelites' crops. Israel called out for help from God, but it seemed like there was no hope. One day, an angel appeared to an Israelite named Gideon.
The Lord be with you, O mighty man of valor.
Really? Because it doesn't seem like he wants anything to do with me.
Well, the Lord wants you to do something about these darn Midianites.
Oh, me, but I'm like the least important person here.
But the Lord is with you.
Oh, well, prove it.
Prove what?
What does God want with me?
Have you eaten your lunch yet?
Oh, well, sure, but I have some leftover sheep here.
Well, you want that heated up?
Oh, yes, I'd like it heated. Oh, jeez! Wow, what does God want with me?
Well, first, he wants you to go, deal with the Midianites, and destroy your family's idols, okay?
Oh, man. Okay.
Gideon destroyed the idols in his town.
Hey, what are you doing?
Whoa.
I'm gonna kill you!
Oh, yeah? Well, if you could kill me, why don't you just have your stupid idols do it?
I guess that's a pretty good point.
Yeah, it is. Now let's go kill some Midianites.
Yeah!
Gideon sounded his trumpet and gathered all the men from the surrounding towns.
Okay, God, I got all these people here, but how do I know for sure that you're gonna be with me? Can you turn this fleece wet and the ground dry around it? Okay, well, can you turn the ground wet and then the fleece dry? Oh, okay, God, you are with me.
Gideon had 22,000 men with him to fight against the Midianites, but God said that was still too many, so Gideon sent everyone that was afraid home. Gideon still had 10,000 men with him, but God said that was still too many, so Gideon had them all drink from a river and kept any man who drank from the river like a dog. That left only 300 men, and God said this is all Gideon needed to defeat the Midianites. So Gideon took his 300 men and gave each of them a trumpet, a torch, and a jar. They stood around the edges of the Midianite camp, waiting to blow their trumpets, smash their jars, and reveal their torches.
Oh, man, I just had the craziest dream. They got Gideon with the 300 men in his army, but he attacked our camp and knocked over our tents. It's real! It's all real!
With 300 men and a few scare tactics, Gideon sent the Midianites running back home in a panic. However, as they ran back, the people of Israel came out of their homes and killed the princes of Midian, but the kings of Midian escaped. So Gideon and his men continued to pursue them.
Oh man, I'm so hungry from chasing these dang kings. Hey, bread guy, you got any bread?
Why should I give you bread? You haven't killed any kings.
Oh, I haven't killed it. Oh, when I do kill those kings, I'm gonna come back and kill you too.
Gideon was still hungry, so he asked someone else for bread.
Oh, give me some bread.
Why should I give you bread? You haven't killed any kings.
Oh yeah? Well, when I do kill the kings, see that tower? I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna tear it down.
Gideon caught the kings and killed them, and then he killed the people who refused to give him bread. Everyone was happy Gideon defeated the Midianites, so they wanted to make him king. But he said no, let God rule over you. Then he asked them to give them all their earrings, and he melted them down to make a golden idol. Israel had peace for 40 years. Gideon had a bunch of wives and had 7 kids, and then Gideon died. and everything got bad again. The end.
So what's the point of this story? Let's start with what it's not teaching us. It's not okay to kill people, or to knock down their towers, or to make golden idols out of people's earrings, or to have a bunch of wives, and it's kind of weird to drink water like a dog. Not bad, just kind of weird. It's really with this story of Gideon that we start to see the downward slope of things getting worse in the book of Judges. Our heroes start acting a lot less hero-y. So what should we take away from this story? I think there's two truths that we can take away, and same like last week, or the last 2 weeks I should say, God used someone unexpected, or at least someone that didn't expect to be used. I'm not going to say that much about this one because I have talked about it the last 2 weeks. But I will say I think it's interesting that Gideon doesn't believe in himself when others seem pretty quick to believe in him. I mean, I know I would struggle to gather 300 people to help me do something, let alone 22,000. So maybe the lesson here is that there's a difference between humility and denying what God is calling you to. When we're afraid, it can be easier to try and downplay our abilities than to step out in faith. Maybe the reason you're good at something is because God wants you to do something with that gift. The second truth is that God can do a lot with a little. Gideon brought to 22,000 and God only needed 300. God needed someone to save Israel, but all he got was Gideon, who went on to go kill some of his fellow Israelites and then build an idol for Israel to worship instead of God. What's cool about God being able to do a lot with a little is that God's going to get done what he needs to get done no matter what, and that's good to know. We don't need to show up with anything extra, we just need to show up. What's sometimes hard for us to understand about God being able to do a lot with a little is sometimes when we see that God uses someone to do something great, we think that means that there's someone great to follow, which really wasn't the case with Gideon. The people of Israel tried to make Gideon into something more than he was. And even though he refused to be king, he still went on to make an idol for them to follow instead of God. What idols do you see people in our church today or in the Christian church abroad following instead of God? And why do you think it's so easy for Christians to get distracted from following Jesus? That's all we have for today. Here's the reading for this week, and we'll see you on Sunday. Hey!
Oh.
What are you doing? I'm gonna kill you!